Hello, everyone. I'm Mystery.
And I'm Dalton Mortar with the Authenticator, and we are the Duality of Man. And, yes, it's shallow, yes, it's petty, but that sweet, sweet, savage Schadenfreude, though.
The salt must flow. We earned this. Okay, we have had to put up with their bullshit for the past 4 years now, and God only knows how many years before that. We earned this.
Hi ho, off to the salt mines we go.
All right, let's get started with
Hi
this first one.
ho, hi ho.
I'm sorry. No, no,
Oh, this one. Oh
no,
god, this one. I have seen this one.
So
Oh,
unhinged.
this one. I almost wonder if this is like overblown and fake, because like the glorious thing about the person in the black beanie and the like neon yellow vest screaming at the sky was that it appeared to be at least mostly organic. Whereas I do get the feeling that some of these people wanted to be that next viral meme, and this is one of the ones that make me go, is this a real reaction, or are you trying to turn yourself into a meme? And
I
as
believe it could
proposed
be both.
law, I can't fucking tell the difference anymore, so who knows?
To be fair, it could be both because think about it. You know that some of these people are this unhinged.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and who's to say this woman isn't one of them? Like their narcissism does not necessarily mean they aren't crazy.
I will say that the reactions have been a lot more cogent and civilized than I was expecting. I was expecting cities to burn, and no
For
cities
now,
have as yet burnt. Now that may change come inauguration day or around there, but at least so far, the cope has taken the form of coping and not Antifa burning cities to the ground as yet. So that
all right.
there is something worth noting about that I haven't seen many of the punch all the Nazis, burn cities to the ground approach to copium just yet.
Why? 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 Do you really hate me that bad?
I just
Yes,
don't understand why
I
we.
I have only known you for the last 4 seconds, and yes, I can confirm with no very few reservations that I do in fact probably hate you that much.
Yes. To quote a great man who is just elected in a sweeping majority, "Shut up, silly woman."
Or to quote said great man a second time, they are really not sending their best.
Okay. See, this next one is one of my favorites. The crying ones are always more enjoyable to me.
Yeah, the glorious Copen Seed, let me lick the salt from your tears.
Can't have a female president. Like, why not?
Run
Like,
a
I feel
female that's worth
qualified.
voting for, my
I do
dear. It's
legit
really not
feel
that
like
complicated.
perfect for the position. Do we have to be?
Tulsi
Like,
Gabbard.
why?
That is
Why?
that is the available correct answer. Tulsi Gabbard.
Is it, he was just recently appointed to, I believe, Director of National Intelligence.
Okay, based. I
Yes.
mean, I would have made her like the war secretary or something, given how non-interventionist and anti-war she is. But I'll take it.
I've seen Trump's appointment to the Secretary of Defense, and he is also very based, so that's good too. But
Yes.
I am really a lot of his appointments, and I can't believe he actually made Doge a thing.
I mean, based yet again. I I am enjoy like it's a slow incremental buildup of basedness, but I have enjoyed the recent days where he's been slowly, basically BTFOing the establishment one position at a time, and I've very much enjoyed Stick's coverage of same.
All right. Oh, this one is. I believe isn't this Boogie?
I do believe so. That appears to be Boogie. And he appears to yet again not be dead of cancer that he appears to never have had. Ain't that funny?
Trump's actually gonna win this fucking thing! Oh, Jesus
Yes.
Christ! I'm so pissed off! Fuck! 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 God damn it!
I'm sorry. I apologize for subjecting your eyes to that.
Yeah, the my eyes meme from SpongeBob does spring uncomfortably to mind here.
Yeah.
President of the United States.
The U.S. President is Donald Trump.
You get it, boys? Especially those of us in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, again, I made this point on election night, and I will continue to make it again. If you wanted me to make a different choice, you should have given me a second choice that I actually would have willingly made. At this point, as far as my political desires are concerned, Trump was basically running unopposed because he was at least populist and small L libertarian, whereas Kamala was the establishment incarnate. And I hate the establishment more than I mind switching to voting right wing. So there.
Did you hear the confession from Pelosi that when Biden endorsed Kamala Harris, he did it as a final fuck you to the party?
I did not.
Yeah, Pelosi basically said that they wanted to do an open primary, but when Biden endorsed Kamala Harris 30 minutes after he dropped out, she basically tied their hands. So I just want to say thank you for your service, Mr. President.
Yeah, what one tiny moment of lucidity seems to have
Well, are you saying something? 'Cause
redeemed
I
at
can't
least
hear
some
you.
of the shit we've gone through for the last 4 years. Not all of it, but down
All right,
payment on
I think
redeeming
you have something
yourself,
wrong with your
sir.
mic because I can't hear you.
Oh shit.
Hello?
Can you hear me
No,
now?
I can't hear you.
Hey, how about
Let
now?
me see.
Testing.
Yeah, hold on. The problem may have been me. I have Bluetooth connected to my computer, and I think that was causing an audio issue for me.
Okay, that's something, I guess.
All right. So, what were you saying before the audio issue crapped out?
Yeah. It doesn't redeem all the shit we had to deal with Biden, but it's at least a down payment on redeeming his soul. Lol.
Yeah, I love how he knows he screwed over the party. He refuses to vacate the presidency, and then just starts lounging on a beach and says, "Got your ass." see, see how you try to push me out? I'll screw you right back. And that hold on, that makes so much of what he did during the course of her campaign make a lot more sense now. And
This
putting on the
reminds
MAGA hat.
this reminds me of the MAGA hat thing where I'm like, does he know what he's wearing, or is this one of his off days?
The crazy old man knew what he was doing the entire time, and we all bought the senility.
And you do realize this means that the person clearly and evidently suffering from dementia was the most sane person in the room several times. And that's not even an exaggeration. That is literally the translation of what happened. We are living in a world where the most sane Democrat is the one suffering from dementia. Oh,
And it
God.
also makes me wonder who was running the government because if Biden was on one of his bad days, and we clearly could see how incompetent Kamala is, who was actually in charge then?
I mean, a combination of Jill, Pelosi, and Kamala is what I'm guessing.
I mean, possibly, but I don't believe that Pelosi would have had any pull in the executive branch.
No, but the fact that the fact that she has no concrete or overt form of power has never stopped any other career-focused woman from controlling things like a puppet master. So Pelosi is yet another example of being the establishment incarnate, and we know how heavily she made things lean with regards to the Obama administration. So I doubt it's beyond her desires or capabilities to control things from behind the scenes. The only question is who's better at it, Hillary Clinton or Pelosi? And that's a coin flip for me as far as I'm concerned.
I've heard rumors, just rumors, that in 2028 the Democrats are putting their best hope on AOC running for president, and if that's their last best hope, they're finished.
What? They can't possibly be that stupid.
I mean, look at the
I mean,
campaign they just ran on Joy and Vibes.
Okay, but as someone who actually, before she got in office, was at least moderately in favor of AOC, she showed herself to be politically incompetent the second she proposed the fucking Green New Deal bullshit, wherein she basically sold the entirety of America's GDP to let's all bet on green. Derp.
There's one video. I don't know if you've seen it. It's been floating around X ever since the appointment broke. But Trump's new border czar, I think his name is Tom Homan.
Yes.
There's a clip where he speaks before Congress, just verbally annihilates AOC on the border. It's fucking beautiful. She's left basically speechless.
I mean, that's not particularly hard to do because the woman is a few cards shy of a full hand, let alone a deck. But
it's a combination of how swiftly and efficiently he does it, combined with her unearned confidence when she's talking.
So it's a Mortal Kombat fatality, is it? Well, that's good then. Anyway, let's continue with the copium.
For the astrology girlies,
oh, what the hell now?
Okay. My dear. Go
I
ahead.
just want to know, I have been studying Kamala's charts, and it looks like she...
Oh. Why is this happening? Why?
Because basic bitches are just that basic, my friend. That's why.
Damn it.
It's not only...
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can...
It's playing on my end. I don't know what...
Wait,
if
so
you're
you
going
can hear
to...
it, but I can't?
It seems that way.
I'm just going to disconnect the Bluetooth because that seems to be the most
problem.
Problems. Yeah, so give me 1 second here.
Yep.
All right.
going to win, but she is going to be winning a second.
Okay, now I don't know what the hell's going on.
Much more qualified.
I'm going to try uploading the file again. Excuse me.
Okay. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. We will resume your regularly scheduled Dualiy man in a moment.
Okay, that I can hear. All right, so let's get back to it. Let's see. I believe this was...
The one where you started having technical problems was the astrology one. And now it's buffering the shit on my end, so I guess I'll have to disconnect or reconnect.
Wait,
One
so
moment.
So what's the problem now?
It's giving me the buffering wheel of death. I'll have to
Okay.
jump out and jump back in.
I hate when we have technical issues. All right. So while Dalton is about to come back, yeah, the election has been one of the glorious cases of Schadenfreude and basically self-imposed political retribution. Because here's the thing: Trump isn't even in office yet, and yet they're all starting to punish themselves. It's very hilarious to see, and it seems like just the presence of Donald Trump, just the potential for his ascension is. Hold on, Luke Dalton's back.
Okay, there we go. All appears to be well that ends well. Good.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna hit play again.
Yep.
No, I have been studying Kamala's charts, and it looks like she is not only going to win, but she is going to be winning a second term. The next 8 years in her chart look really, really strong. Trump's not so much.
If you ever needed a reason not to believe in astrology.
Well, okay, but even because I am the magic guy, I'm going to hazard a guess as to why this person is completely fucked and doesn't know what they're talking about. One, there is the issue of interpreting the stars. Two, the issue of the fault is not in the stars but in yourselves. Three, given all of the curses that you tried to put on Trump and all the bindings and all the roadblocks in his way you tried to put in, a lot of you fluffy bunny Wiccan types, the people who believe in things like do what thou will but in it harm none and the rule of three, you explicitly violated your own rules so as to try and stymie Trump. You were ineffective in doing so because your definition of make him a pariah to the establishment doesn't actually hurt him, it helps him. But also, between all of the curses that you've got, the rule of three coming to get you for, there's also the little canard of that time that a bunch of witches on TikTok tried to hex the moon and seemed to have pissed off the queens of fairy in doing so. So, even if we're just talking spiritual or occult woo here, there are reasons why the stars are telling you to go fuck yourselves. And some of them may just be down to your interpretation. Because this thing happens where you believe that the most good thing that can happen is for the establishment to approve of you. And Trump and his folks don't agree with that interpretation. They actually conceive of being anti-establishment as a form of power. So between your own self-inflicted bullshit, your failure to interpret things correctly, and the fact that many of the entities in this world want to see you get your shit kicked in, that is probably why you are wrong more than anything. The fault is not in the stars, it is very much in yourselves, to paraphrase the bard here.
Yeah, and it always seems that these woo-woo types, whenever they try to, quote-unquote, interpret something, for some reason, all the signs they read always coincide with what they want to happen.
Yeah, and also the issue of they usually wind up with the exact opposite interpretation of the truth, because something truth is a arbitrary social construct and objectivity is a myth. Derp.
Now let's get to the code.
Yes, the glorious code.
So I was wrong. A lot of astrologers were wrong. A lot of us were wrong. But if you think that right now is the time to tell me that you don't believe in astrology, who gives a about astrology right now, dude? Who literally
you did.
cares about that?
You do?
That is like the least of our worries.
All of her beliefs go right out the window the moment she loses.
Okay. Also, just to rub the proverbial salt in the proverbial wound here, you people seem to assume you're the only people who use any sort of magic or occultism. And not only is that not true, people who politically disagree with you also have access to the tools you use, but people like me and Styx are better at using it than you. So, you might not want to get involved in a mystical war when you don't even know how spells work and or operate. Like, in order to use magic, you first probably should emphasize understanding magic, and if you understand magic, you would realize that not only are a lot of your political beliefs contrary to most of the will of nature, but if you actually understood how magic worked, you probably would cease to believe in a lot of this political bullshit, because reality doesn't just fold into place because you will it to be so. There are energies and forces at play here. Like, for example, instead of believing in astrology in the like newspaper horoscope sense, why don't you try reading the Picatrix sometime and actually learn about the intricacies of astrological influences on the world? But if you did that, you would have to concede that objective reality is the case even in the metaphysical, and that would crash your worldview. Your worldview is literally cosmically wrong, like existentially, metaphysically wrong. Not to mention all the entities, both human and non-human, who would really like to see your shit get kicked in because you're morons. Dangerous, selfish, childish morons.
Yes, that's not even counting all of the Christians who were praying for Donald Trump's safety, especially after that first assassination attempt, where he barely survived.
Yeah.
This is my career. I have built a life off of reading the stars for people and getting it right.
How sad is that?
I mean, if she were actually good at it, I wouldn't begrudge her those things, but here's the thing. You're not good at your chosen career. You're not good at your chosen vocation, my dear. Like, as a person who very much does believe in astrology, I can maintain a belief in astrology and still explain to you how and why you are wrong. Because, unfortunately for you, the stars do not literally revolve around your fucking whims. And the fact that you are just now realizing that the metaphysical universe is a lot more objective than you want it to be is in and of itself the dead center heart of the problem. You can't just magic away the entire universe, largely because large sums of the universe are magical in nature to begin with. You moron. Moving on.
But if you're gonna come into my comments and complain that, well, I'm no longer gonna believe in astrology after this, who gives a for real? Let's be for real right now. That is the last of our worries. My mom can't lose her Social Security. We can't lose our Medicaid, our Medicare.
As if those were even things that were on Trump's docket.
Yeah, Trump never once mentioned about taking away people's Social Security. He actually said that he wanted to make it so that Social Security was no longer taxed, which I don't understand why it would be.
Yeah, which again, based in correct answer. But this is the thing. You are not good at observing reality. And things like astrology and alchemy and magic rely on you having a good understanding of how nature works in the metaphysical sense or in the physical sense. Like you are straight up projecting fascism and Nazism and every other negative human evil onto Trump. And and as far as I can tell, it has never been the case. The only reason he ran as a Republican in 2016 was because he knew that the establishment of the Democratic Party had already well and truly coronated Hillary. And he was right. But his beliefs have not meaningfully changed since he was a business Democrat in the 80s.
I would say some of them have changed a bit, especially considering now he has a better understanding of government and the way that people
Right,
in
but all that
government.
did was emphasize his populist and or libertarian leanings, which again is the fucking opposite of fascism. And if you truly want to be good at interpreting astrology, my dear, you need to acknowledge that the stars don't give a shit about your whims. You have to take them at their fucking word and not reinterpret shit. See, because this is the thing. I agree with you that your audience shouldn't cease to believe in astrology because you got it wrong. They should, however, cease to believe in you and your ability to correctly interpret things. Just like with the science, quote unquote, in the COVID times. If the normative consensus of the establishment of the science gets it wrong on a pretty much universal scale, then people should cease to believe in the people who made that normative consensus. Do you see? It doesn't mean we should forego science, but we should perhaps prioritize the opinions of people who get the right answer every now and again, instead of basically treating every form of scientific prediction like we treat meteorology, in the sense that, yeah, you can get it wrong 5 times out of 7 and still keep your job. Even though even though the natural sciences are supposed to be about, predictability and shit.
Let me ask you something though. Do you think the sign from the stars she was trying to read was from Hollywood? Because Hollywood was all in on Kamala Harris.
I mean, it's possible. It's also possible that she did that thing I was just talking about where she saw something that would be negative from her perspective and assumed that it would also be negative from Trump's perspective. Because they do that. They do this thing where we're going to curse him by making him seem like even more of a anti-establishment pariah. And then they get calciprezed when Trump actually benefits from that, because being anti-establishment is exactly what his power comes from. So the stars probably said something positive in Trump's worldview and something negative in hers, and she just assumed the stars were agreeing with her, because clearly, whatever else she may think about astrology, she seems to be one of those people who assumes that the world literally revolves around her and her fucking whims. And magic or no magic, dear, it is not so.
There are real things happening in the world right now, and I know that you guys think this is some big gotcha.
It is.
But I don't give a if you think astrology is not real right now, because there is real life happening in this country.
Okay. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that for a second? That tells me that you don't actually believe in astrology, because typically things we genuinely believe are things we will continue to believe in hard times, largely because a lot of people, maintain a set of beliefs for exactly the reason of life is sometimes hard and I need something to help me understand it. So if you also you use the phrase real things are going on right now, and then you contrasted that with the belief in astrology, which is one hell of a Freudian fucking slip. If you conflate astrology with not real, then no wonder you suck at interpreting it, because you are disingenuous about your own fucking beliefs then, you stupid cunt.
Oh god. Let's continue.
Yeah.
I believe the next one is the mainstream media.
Where Donald J. Trump wins all 3 of the blue wall states.
He won them in 2016.
We're not in 2016.
No,
we have seen his reaction to COVID. We've seen January 6th insurrection. We've seen 2 impeachments. We've seen 34 felony convictions. This is not 2016.
And none of it mattered because you guys are not in control or don't have the moral high ground that you think you do, you stupid, oblivious twits.
No, it did matter. It did matter. That's why he won more this time.
Well, okay, yes. It mattered in the inverse because people actually actively want to spite the establishment. But this person is assuming that, well, we as an institution, we as a normative consensus have decided that he's invalid, and therefore, obviously, that will reflect the reality on the ground. Because they refuse to acknowledge that people don't like you, you ignorant morons. People would actively go out of their way to show you how much they dislike you. And the sooner you realize you don't have the goddamn morally sacrosanct high ground, the sooner you might actually start interpreting reality correctly, or maybe be able to be a meaningful alternative to him. But the 34 convictions were for irrelevant crimes to begin with, i.e. they were not meaningful wrongdoings, and it was lawfare. And the impeachments were not well-founded or founded on anything meaningful. No one cared about January 6th because January 6th was not even the most extreme form of protest going on at the time. See also the Chaz, and the Kenosha riot that led to the shootout that, made Kyle Rittenhouse famous, etc. ad nauseum. And you can't just say we have decided and therefore because we are the authority, reality will bend to our will. Again, in order to actually correctly interpret things, you have to take things as they are, both empirically and philosophically and metaphysically. If you can't do that basic shit of wait, the world outside of our bubble exists, you will always get it wrong. And it will always be a joy to watch you get it wrong. Because you haven't yet come to terms with the fact that people would rather deal with every evil thing you've accused Trump of being than ever please you or side with you on anything.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing. They do live in a bubble that gives them a distorted worldview because there was a segment on MSNBC where I believe it was Joe Scarborough who was having this segment where he was talking to this guy, and the guy said that Trump was going to win because the price of butter had gotten, so high. And, Joe Scarborough just kind of, didn't pay him much mind. But then when one of his co-hosts mentioned that the price of butter had risen to $7, he was shocked because this man does not buy his own groceries. He has so much money that he does other people do this shit for him, and he doesn't care because he has enough money to be, secure from the inflation prices. But other people don't. And so that's why he's not able to understand why this guy would say that Trump would win when butter rose to $7.
It's like fucking David Pakman, trying to refute people's claims of groceries and utilities are too fucking expensive, David, with, but the institutional statistics I have here say that the economy is better than ever. And it doesn't even occur to him that the reality on the ground is in fact more important than the statistics. And that the statistics are not a meaningful reflector of reality.
Especially because we know that they've lied on those reports multiple times in both.
And that the polling methodologies and things that they use were biased to begin with.
Yeah. And so these people, they've done so much gaslighting, trying to deceive the American people. They've deceived themselves. They now believe their own bullshit.
They always have. That's why I hate the institutionalist establishment, Dev.
Well, here's the thing. I think some of them knew that they were lying in the beginning. Like in that Project Veritas video where Van Jones admits that the Russia thing is a nothing burger. But at some point, I think they genuinely started to believe this shit.
Well, and therein lies the problem. Where exactly is the line to be drawn? Because most most truly pervasive lies begin by deceiving oneself. That's why I put such a great premium on the idea of intellectual honesty. Because if you start with a faulty premise, if you start with an axiom that is not correct, everything you get out of that system, even if every other axiom in your system is correct, which often is also not the case, then you're going to wind up with false positives and false negatives at every conceivable level. You have to maintain being able to tell yourself the truth, because all lies essentially all meaningful lies begin with deceiving oneself. Either by deceiving oneself that their lie is actually true, or deceiving oneself that the lie is circumstantially permissible because a greater good. And of course, where is the fucking line between those two justifications for the lie? Whether it's for the greater good or it's actually true, though, if you lie to yourself, you are necessarily going to end up lying to everyone else, because if you don't even know what the truth is, how the fuck are you going to differentiate where the lie ends and the truth begins?
Let's see the mainstream media and all their arrogance before they get smacked down by reality.
Ah, the glory of reality.
I should be putting this thing away if that was the case.
Hey girlies, so just so you know, IUDs will last throughout the entirety of his presidency. So if you want to have somewhat of a choice over your body, you should probably go get one.
You always had one. It's called not being a whore.
But we want to indulge in the thing without having to deal with any of the logical consequences of the thing. Because reality oppressive, derp.
There's like 30 forms of birth control that now exist, and women still can, not be, an idiot and not get pregnant by some random douchebag.
And because we are, of course, at the end of the day, still a men's rights show, I would like to also mention here that men have exactly zero. In fact, they have inverse birth control because according to some people, men being fertile is more important than men being able to opt out of being a parent. So the only forms of birth control men have, ostensibly, are condoms, which are extremely breakable, fragile, and don't often work, or Viagra, which intensifies the fertility problem rather than mitigating it like all of women's birth controls do.
Yeah, and one thing that I find hilarious is that they're going to start now doing the very thing that we've been asking them to do all along, as a kind of gotcha.
Yeah, as a punishment.
As a punishment, we're going to start following your orders. See, that's why I'm so glad that Trump got a second term, because in this second term, it really just seems like reality is beginning to reassert itself, and things are being put right merely by the fact that he won, not even that he's in office yet.
Well, this is the danger of having your conception of reality completely and utterly Uno reversed. You will start doing what your actual enemy wants for the sake of fighting the enemy you think you're fighting, for the sake of acing the test you did study for. You will completely fail the test that actually exists.
I am so happy that the patriarchy, now led by Orange Man, is retaking its dominance in America.
Yeah, Orange Man, Elon, and Vance, and hopefully at some point he will also throw Rand Paul in there. Yeah. Like, do me a solid, make him like the Speaker of the House or like Senate Minority Leader or something.
Look, I wasn't going to sleep, but do y'all see this? Do you see it? Let me move in close. Y'all see that? Do y'all see that?
Yes, we were there.
What is going on, Trump 2024?
Oh, she's based. She's happy about it.
Yeah, or she's slowly going insane. I can't decide which.
I don't think so because
I
on
wasn't going to sleep
the wording
until
it
I
says
see it, until
Trump
I see
2024
it. And look,
back in the office. Let's go, baby. So she's definitely happy about it.
Okay, so yeah, good for her. There remain based people. Hooray!
You know,
Even on TikTok.
regarding the demographics for the previous election, I was surprised so many women went for Trump, considering that the Democrats worked so hard to try to make abortion an issue. But then I heard a comment, I forget who it was from, but it said that women buy groceries more than they get abortions.
I mean, that is true. So, like, my mom is the one who normally takes care of the groceries around our house, and groceries have like doubled or tripled or quadrupled in the last 4 years. It's fucking ridiculous. It used to be you could drop like 100 to $150 and it would last you for 2 weeks. Now you basically end up having to spend that much and not even be able to make it through the week a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I hope you turn. I hope you turn this around, and I believe he will much better than Kamala's plan. Because Kamala's plan is basically just use the force of government to bully companies into lowering the price.
Well, I mean, the good news is he's not standing alone this time. He's not one populist in a vast sea of evangelocons, tradcons, and neocons. He appears to have found a group of people who will buttress and intensify his baseness. And that is good news. We have Elon, we have Vance, we will hopefully have Rand Paul somewhere in the administration, we have Tulsi somewhere in the administration. Like, because that was one of the many hurdles that he had to jump over in his administration in 2016 was he was being Vrimar worm-tongued by a bunch of evangelocons, tradcons, and neocons, and as a result, his populism got mitigated even from within inside his own party. Whereas now, he's been lawfared, nearly assassinated, and fucking defamed to death 5 ways from Sunday. So his response is, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do and nothing the fuck else, and you can go fuck yourselves. Which is the correct answer, because the establishment is not fit for purpose.
Yes, and with each new announcement, I'm looking forward to the media and the establishment just freaking out. Speaking of
I
the media, did you hear what's going on with CNN and MSNBC?
No. Is it good news?
It's very good news. So it would appear the Orange Man has won, and after Trump's reelection, their ratings dropped. I believe the report was about 50%. So CNN is facing mass layoffs, including layoffs of a number of its highest paying personalities, and MSNBC is rumored to be being sold off.
A similar thing happened on the YouTube where David Pakman, I believe, was bemoaning like a fifth of his subscriber base unsubscribed because he couldn't be relied upon to predict anything anymore, which should have been a wake-up call, but wasn't, because he framed it as if a fifth of his subscriber base vanished because they didn't want to be involved in politics.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Trump strolls back into power, and his pure presence annihilates all of his enemies.
And he hasn't even been inaugurated yet. That's what I love. All of this copium is being inflicted before the man has even before the man has even taken office again. Now, mind you, please, for the love of God, everyone on the Trump in the Trump administration, invest in bulletproof vests, invest in fucking bulletproof plexiglass shields, all the things, because they're 0 for 2, and I would very much like to keep their win record as low as we can here.
Well, I believe that now that he's officially the president elect, that he's going to get much better Secret Service protection, obviously.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Elon is, like, hiring private security for him in addition. Because, again, someone thought ahead and got the based oligarch involved. And if we must have an oligarch, I prefer it to be the based one rather than the ones that I'm convinced no longer even have souls.
Okay. So let's play again. I'm gonna
Yep.
fast forward a little bit.
What I see. Red, it is.
What it appears happened in that state. Kamala Harris, white women voters.
Trump 24.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris.
I want to say, in regard to that, it was mostly black women. Us black men voted for Trump. I believe 1 in 5 black men voted for Trump this election.
Well,
So
I
it was mostly-
mean, even the inner city gangsters and so on, they got to see, they had front row seats to see Trump's mugshot and then him getting almost assassinated twice. So even if you are the most like stereotypical gangster in Chicago you could imagine, I imagine they still sided with Trump because he was, to use a weird phrase, spiritually more black than even Obama was. Well,
I hope the Republicans continue to make efforts to chip away at the Democrats' base of support with black voters, because it is absolutely insane to me how they can be so loyal to one particular party no matter how many times they screw them.
especially given that historically it was a Republican that freed it. Well, I say freed. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't actually do anything, but at least on paper, it was the Lincoln administration that ended the whole slavery thing. So someone somewhere has things completely upside down here. But it's similar to how I find the Hispanic vote also amusing, especially because of how predictable it was. Because they may, you may be able to pad out your pockets with illegal votes for a short period, but at the end of the day, quite a lot of Hispanics are extremely devout Catholics and highly conservative by Western standards. So you had to know that at some point the Hispanic vote was going to go to the other side. And the fact that nobody saw that coming is frankly just baffling to me. As if the fact that they're extremely devout Catholics and extremely conservative magically evaporated the second they set foot on American soil somehow.
Yeah, because that's because they don't really understand these people. They only see them like at surface level, like, oh, you have this skin color.
Yeah, the platonic hive mind of academia of you have this identity and therefore this body of theories speaks for you somehow. Yeah, no, fuck off.
Yeah, and it's very telling how quickly they turned on them once the election demographics came in.
It's like the disparity in reactions between the Champagne socialist definition of the working class and their hatred of actual working class people.
Yeah, and it really the results of this election really do go to show you that there is nothing, and I do mean nothing, in this world that is more racist than a liberal white woman when minorities don't vote the way she believes they should.
I mean, whether it's Helen Lovejoy or whether it's Karen, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set.
I hope she loses her job when MSNBC gets.
Have you considered treating people like individuals with actual preferences instead of statistics and demographics? Have you considered that might be fucking the problem? Have you considered you should give people something they would willingly vote for? Ever.
Yeah. Like, Joy Reid is absolutely one of the worst people in mainstream media. And With MSNBC going down the toilet, I only hope that she gets flushed right along with it.
We can but hope. We can hope that the MSM entirely crumbles in the ensuing 4 years. It couldn't have happened to a better industry.
Numerous times, is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women
Quite a lot
to
of
vote.
women are pro-life, my dear. In fact, more women than men are pro-life, because men have a gynocentric need to give women basically whatever they want, even if it's not entirely feasible. But yeah, more women than men are actually pro-life. And the second you get out of your gender studies classroom and look out the fucking window at the cold light of reality and understand that people are not demographics, and even if they are demographics, those demographics don't accord with your academic preconception of them, the sooner you might actually come to realize that, wait, what if we try running a candidate people would like to vote for? In the same way as with pop culture. If you want people to buy your product, make a product people want. This should be the most basic kindergarten level bullshit imaginable, but apparently we have to explain it again. If you want people to side with you or agree with you or buy your product, make something they want and give them something they want. It's really not that hard.
That would require them to be smart, Dalton, and we know these people certainly aren't that. They have learned nothing from this crushing defeat. They have doubled down all over the internet, and it really is fascinating that they could lose this much. I mean, Donald Trump won all three branches of government, and these people are still saying that it's everyone else that is the problem.
Yeah, for those that don't know, me and E have been link spamming back and forth all week with all the copium, and it's been varying degrees of glorious the entire time.
Yeah, but part of me was hoping that they would learn something from this, and it seems that they've only learned that they should double down even more. That wokeness.
Pleasing people is immoral. How dare we? Populism
Yeah.
is evil, even in a democratic republic, somehow.
Yeah. Wokeness isn't the problem. It's everyone else who's the problem. They're all racist, misogynists, blah blah blah. It's like
we need to be even more. We need to be even more hardline and more authoritarian about it, and that totally won't turn people off en masse. That totally won't backfire like it has backfired every time since 2013. But okay, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
At this point, I kind of want them to do it because I don't care anymore. Let them continue to destroy themselves. That only means that the salt mines will stay open longer.
Yeah, we don't even have to do anything. All we have to do is show up with our popcorn and just watch them do it to themselves. That's a glorious thing. It's like we are playing politics on the quintessentialist of easy modes. All the while, our enemies are literally beating themselves to death in the political sense. And all we're doing is sitting there like the Willy Wonka meme going, don't, stop, come back. Okay.
And then when they cope and see, we also, like Willy Wonka, say, you lose. You get nothing. Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. Yes. But moving on with the thing. The train of copium must
Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And, God bless Shannon Watts, who has tried to have that conversation. But if people aren't receptive to it, and if people vote more, party line or more on race than on gender and on protecting their gender, there's really not much more that you can do but tell people what the risks are and leave it to them to do the right thing.
Sweetheart, You need to understand. Women on the ground, individual women on the ground, are not your academic gender studies, cultural, or critical gender theory definition of womanhood. And the patriarchy of your feminist imagining does not exist. And it never has. Like, ever. In the history of humans. Humans are a gynocentric social species where men have an out-group preference, i.e. men would prefer to be around women if they could feasibly rig it that way, and women are the only ones that actually have an in-group preference. Which is to say that your patriarchy hypothesis is not just wrong, it is the complete fucking opposite of reality. And no, that doesn't mean matriarchy. It means when men use power, they use power to please women and on the behalf of women. Men almost never vote in their own interests, which personally for me as a men's rights advocate is somewhat annoying,
Yeah, we
because
got to
so
stop that.
many
That's
of the
what's
current
screwing us
human
up.
rights abuses are male in nature, but what the fuck ever.
Yeah, see, we need to stop that because that's what's screwing us over. Because like a lot of men will crumble at the sight of a crying, hysterical woman,
Yeah.
and we need to learn to just not give a shit. Because here's the thing: if you're if you believe you're right and you have all the information to you that you're right, just ignore the crying woman and do what
Yeah,
you know to be right. Because if you if you concede to the crying woman, then you're doing what you believe to be wrong. And why on earth would you do that?
yeah, and on the other side of the issue here, um, maybe consider extending to your fellow men, to literally your fellow man, a similar degree of regard for their si- um their sentimentality and a aversion to their suffering, because one of the things that occasionally fucks my faith in humanity up is that when women are homeless, every force in the world tries their damnedest to make them not homeless. When men are homeless, they get shat on, spat on, and often beat the fuck up, if not outright killed. And I'm sorry, but no amount of but the women's is going to make me ignore that disparity. Like, reality is how it be, regardless of the evolutionary wiring that makes us all go, protect the women, please the women, do whatever the women ask, blah, 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 fucking blah. We need to grow out of the Stone Age, gentlemen, and realize that when we refer to our fellow man, that does include the male ones, not just for the women and the children. I'm fine with a certain level of for the women and the children, and there's no way we're ever going to get away from it entirely because evolution is how evolution is. But we should perhaps extend that list of people with whom we are concerned to ourselves and our fellow human beings who are or happen to be male. It would be fantastic if your reaction to seeing a weak, pathetic man wasn't to laugh or beat him up, but to help him in the same way you would help a woman or a child. Please.
Let's watch the next clip, and then I have to go because I have schoolwork that I still need to do.
Alrighty.
Thing to me is that if this guy does end up winning again, all of the people who voted for him will be like happy, and it'll just be so.
Yes, we're very happy.
Yes,
pleased. We're having a great time.
We basically got everything it was possible to get and possibly then some. So yeah, I have no notes, no complaints. Well, okay, one complaint, which is, hey Democrats, run someone else that I could conceivably vote for, and maybe I'll continue to vote for you because I'm a left winger policy wise. I'm just also a populist and a libertarian policy wise, and only one of the candidates was populist or libertarian in any meaningful way. So you want to equalize that particular imbalance? You want to balance out that proportion statement, please? Because if it's choice between a right winger who vaguely agrees with some of the stuff I believe in, or a ostensible left winger who believes in none of the things I believe in, I'm gonna go where my conscience, my principles, and my desires point me, which is to the guy who at least partially agrees with shit that I believe in, as opposed to none of them. Okay, moving on.
Celebrating, and everyone who feels threatened by him is fucking scared. Like,
I just want to remind this woman.
Erroneously, because there is no basis for that fear, and that's the problem.
I just want to remind this woman. We won the popular vote. We are most of the country. You're the minority here.
Yeah. And let's be real here. If it wasn't for mail-in voting and the consequences of COVID last time, it probably would have won last time.
True.
We're scared for our lives. We're scared for our friends. Like, you have pro-life women dying because their doctors are scared to treat them.
Okay, my sweet. Here's the thing. I acknowledge that you have this fear, but you need to acknowledge that that fear does not map onto reality, i.e., it is not founded on any sort of true or logical axiom. Like, fear is a reason to do things some of the time, but you have to be very clear about ensuring that that fear actually maps onto reality. And if your fear does not map onto reality, then the good news is you can and should get rid of it. Because emotions are nebulous to begin with, but emotions that don't map onto reality in any meaningful way are actively making your life worse for no other reason than because you believe false things.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to help you by convincing you that that fear is unwarranted.
Yes, much like a child who grows up and is no longer afraid to go to bed, at some point you have to realize the orange man is not hiding in your closet.
And the orange man that actually exists is not a fascist, a Nazi, a white supremacist, a sword of the patriarchy, or any of the other fucking melodramatic pantomime bullshit you've accused him of. Nazis are, for the most part, complete and utter political non-entities. As well they fucking should be, because they're stupid and evil and moronic. But that also means that the people who disagree with you have valid and moral reasons for disagreeing with you, and you need to at least countenance the idea that their variables should be included in your calculations. And the more you refuse to, or the more you literally psych yourself up with your own fear, the more miserable you're going to get, and the more counter to reality your framework is going to get. And this is the thing, it doesn't even benefit you to be afraid erroneously. Like, you are actively making your own life worse for literally nothing but abstract moral reasons. Please, come to reality. It's not that bad. There are not Nazis and demons around every corner. The world can be and is often happy. And it would be much more happy if people with said erroneous fears could convince themselves to get the fuck over them, finally. Just saying. Moving on.
Because of the repercussions of his last presidency. How did we get here? How did we get here?
Because your fears are erroneous and you wouldn't listen to anyone that tried to explain to you in logical, reasoned terms why your fears are erroneous and not founded on anything in logic or reality.
Also,
that is precisely how we got here.
Also, because in 2020, the Democrats ran two of the most ineffectual politicians to get into the White House, and dear God,
that not even their own party liked.
Everything.
Yeah, and the establishment of both parties will not run someone people want to vote for. And the only reason Trump was able to be that meaningful alternative is because he was able to, by sheer force of will, overwhelm the entire establishment of his own party.
To know that there is that much ignorance and that much hate in this country.
Yes, and they all voted blue.
We're not the ones working ourselves into an anxiety-ridden panic attack because of erroneous fear. We're not the ones saying there are Nazis, fascists, and white supremacists and other assorted variations on human evil hiding under every corner or under every rock. Like, we are the ones who are saying reality does have its issues, but it's really, really, really not that bad. You are the ones who are saying that the world is basically an Orwellian rendition of a Bosch painting. And it is simply not so. And not only is it not so, it would be more enjoyable for you to let go of this fear that is erroneous.
Yeah, if the right wing was really as dangerous as this woman reports to believe that they are, none of these people would be making videos because it would be far too dangerous to be a dissenter.
Yeah, or they would be in a, black bag gulag somewhere. But I have to note that the only people who get unpersoned off of social media or alternative media or the mainstream media are the people who are telling you reality isn't that bad, calm the fuck down, you're only making yourself miserable. Just because you have fear doesn't mean those fears are well founded. And everyone needs to internalize that. Your emotions or your instincts or your intuitions are only as valid as they are logically consistent or empirically well founded. And these things are none of these things are the case. Moving on.
It's so terrifying. It's so terrifying. How could you do this? How can you claim to be a Christian or anyone of moral values?
Well, simple. You guys did a lot of things that were disgustingly degenerate and went actively against the Bible, insulted me, my faith, then the Word of God, and a lot of other faiths for the last 4 years and even beyond. And then when we're given someone who actually appears to respect our religious belief, you question why we voted for him and not you assholes?
And even people on your own side get dehumanized and vilified. Let he without an accusation of internalized prejudice cast the first stone. Because, my God, my policy positions have not changed. I am still classically liberal stroke libertarian on, abstract bases, and still a Scandinavian-style social democrat on policy bases. I didn't leave the left. The left told me in no uncertain terms to get the fuck out because I have internalized homophobia and internalized ableism and internalized Christianity or whatever the fuck else.
Yeah, see, that's how I started. Like, I started being, more to the left, and then, I wasn't really paying attention to politics. I was, minding my own business, doing my own thing, until one day I looked out the Overton window had been dragged so far to the left that I was now right wing, and I'm looking around saying, "What the fuck happened?"
Yeah, it's not that anyone leaves the left, it's that the left frequently, in this day and age, tells people to get the fuck out. And then they're surprised when people do in fact get the fuck out.
And support someone when every word out of his mouth is hate, when he wants to pardon people who took over the Capitol. Do not do this to people.
Okay. You flat out just contradicted yourself even in that moment. Something, every word out of his mouth is hate. Also he wants to pardon people. I hate to, once again, do this whole basic building blocks of language thing to you, but, the sadistic authoritarian isn't the person who generally tries to pardon people who have already been convicted of basically thought crimes. It's typically the people doing the authoritarianism that put people in jail for thought crimes to begin with. Like, you just flat out contradicted yourself in that singular moment, and you didn't even spot it. That's the thing that confuses everybody. Like, how do they not see it?
It's very easy to say only nice things when you only talk to people who agree with you. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is willing to go and talk to people that he knows disagrees with him and will be actively hostile towards him, but he still thinks that it's worth going and talking to them anyway. And that's how he won and won a lot of people over.
Yeah. And Joe Rogan very much is a lefty, and yet he ended up endorsing Trump because Trump was more of a populist and a libertarian, and the other side was going something, something, something more normative institution, or something, 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 everyone who disagrees with me is immoral. And one of the reasons that a lot of us came to the left, especially those of us that grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, is because when we were growing up, the left was the libertarian side of politics. They were the ones who were against conspiratorial fear-mongering and against moralistic authoritarianism and against censorship and against the stifling of freedom of expression. But now, because the left won so handily in the 90s and early 2000s, they are becoming the authoritarian moralistic wing. And those of us who maintain our libertarian, freedom of expression loving, free speech sensibilities have therefore ended up sympathizing more with the right, because the right is, by and large, there are exceptions like Gavin McInnes and Matt Walsh, but the right is, by and large, currently the libertarian side of politics.
Hold on, real quick. Speaking of Matt Walsh, I saw a recent interview. He did walk back his anime take after he got so thoroughly roasted by his own fans.
I mean, it shouldn't have taken the metric tonnage of bullshit that it took, because that was like this is the thing that worries me about Matt Walsh. The fact that he had to be BTFO'd in order to get it through his head scares me more than anything else, because that means that he didn't see anything wrong with the statement to begin with. It's the same thing with Gavin McInnes's video game take and the whole build the table bigot nonsense. Like,
well, I think a lot of people talk out of their ass about things they don't know anything about, which is annoying. Yeah, but it's not something I'm worried about all that much.
I mean, I'm worried in the sense that just like how the left used to be the libertarian party in the 90s and 80s and so on, and now they're the moralistic authoritarian ones. I worry slightly that a lot of the more libertarian-minded right-wingers will find a reason why my family values and my authoritarian theocracy is a good thing after all, and then we'll be right back to this conversation in another 10 years, and that will annoy me, because
I don't think so. I think well, yeah, they'll continue to talk because people are allowed to talk. But I think as far as terms of power go, I think the Orange Man has thoroughly beaten those people into submission.
I hope that Gen Z and Gen Alpha will at least have enough of an understanding of the previous generation's problem to full stop reject moralistic authoritarianism, like
Also,
as a whole.
things like anime and video games, like our generation, Gen Z and no Gen Alpha, we all grew up with that stuff. Like, it's not going to be like the '90s where people just like, oh, we don't understand this, so we're going to assume it's evil.
I mean, I would have said 10 or 20 years ago that there was no way that the left would turn into the social justice movement, but unfortunately, reality does be like that sometimes. I just don't want to have to keep fighting this fight over and over and over again on multiple different sides. Hopefully, at some point, people will realize that the problem is the vertical axis of the political compass, not the horizontal one.
I think in order to to get to that point, we first need to thoroughly popularize both parties. And while that has made significant gains on the right, the left is still heavily resistant.
Yeah, because they screwed Bernie both times, screwed Tulsi and Yang, and didn't even bother having a primary recently, all the while claiming to be the side that speaks for democracy.
Yeah. So,
we are in favor of our democracy. Also, you will not have any votes because we have decided who the candidate is going to be already.
I saw a video that replaces the phrase my democracy with our bureaucracy. And once you do that, it all makes so much more sense.
It also makes sense if you swap our democracy for the term aristocracy, because the phrase our democracy translates to democracy of the people we consider valid, and the people we consider valid are, of course, the nouveau aristocracy.
All right, let's finish this clip, and then I really gotta go.
Yep.
That you love and care about. If you have a woman in your life, if you have an LGBTQ person in your life, if you have anyone in your life who's not white, how did we get here? Someone tell me, please. Someone really tell me, please.
You were precisely
because the only way I see it is that like either he cheated and that was his secret,
election denial,
or this country is built on so much hate.
Okay, can we talk about the election denial for a second? Because in 2016, Hillary and the entire MSM went Trump Russia possible collusion, Trump Russia meddling collusion for 4 years, and not a single peep about how election denial was stupid or ridiculous or evil. Then in 2020, there was literally a medical emergency changing the entire institution of voting around and using mail-in voting on a massive scale as yet unprecedented. And we're not even allowed to question some of the circumstances of that, even while Time Magazine admits to it without being considered stupid, evil, and immoral because election denial. And yet again, here we are in 2024, and all of a sudden, election denial is back on the menu, boys. Again.
I've been seeing so much of that from the mainstream media as well. While they continue to exist for the limited period of time they're still in the air.
I'm hoping that one of the upshots of the next 4 years will be new media will continue to be more and more considered valid, and old media will continue to more and more die on its ass. It looks like, given the self-sabotaging nature of some of these people, they are assisting us in that endeavor. So thank you for doing God's work by being completely unlikable cretins. Well done.
But considering how quickly memes are beginning to turn into reality this election cycle, what if MSNBC does get sold and the Trump family buys it?
Actually, I'd rather Elon buy it. Because
Elon already owns Twitter. I don't think he really needs it.
I mean, no, but he's still got quite a good track record going of buying things and then purifying them.
True,
which, by the way, Elon, if you would like a bit of advice from those of us on the ground as to what your next beautification outlet should be, please buy YouTube from Google, please. I would like to live in a YouTube algorithm where I could actually get views again. That would be nice.
I don't think Google's ever going to part with YouTube.
I mean, no, but Elon might make them an offer they can't refuse, and Google does run YouTube on a deficit anyway, so it's similar to the situation Twitter was in. So while Saint Elon is purifying the heretics, can he perhaps? I have seen what you have done for other people, Elon, and I would like that now for me as well, please.
Well, the reason why I wanted Trump to buy MSNBC is because they hate Trump far more than they hate Elon.
I mean, they do, but at the same time, I'd rather Trump actually stay above the fray on that front. Let Elon be the space marine purifying the heretics.
Well, here's the thing: like, eventually, Trump is not going to be president anymore. He's going to retire, and I figured if he buys,
okay, yeah, if he wants to do that after he's left office, then I have no problem with it.
Yeah, but all right, I'm gonna have to head out because I have work to do. Also, I have to check on something.
Yep.
We can still continue this next week if you want. There's plenty of more salt to be mined. We can
Yeah,
go over
yeah.
some more.
This is going to be one of the ones that I think we'll do maybe a part 2 and even a part 3 of, depending on how things go. So
Yeah.
we
All
we
right,
will
buddy.
continue the ever increasing mining of the ever increasing salt, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.